All right. We'll give everybody a second to get on here, but we wanted to go live and give you guys a little bit of an update. Peter was just out at the Hammers for his first time. Not only was he there his first time, but he was actually there for an Ultra 4 style driving school in his beautiful Jeep. Yeah. Well, it's really a race car with a Jeep body. We just talked about.
It is a race car. Let's just call it what it is. It's a race car.
So, but let's give everybody a second to get on here, and we'll give everybody an update. I wanted everybody to actually, get an impression from you about what the experience looked like. Yep. Not to be a GenRight sales pitch or anything, but I just want them to know now what you know, right? Because you've gone from like out crawling it. Yep. Easter Jeep Safari and, Sand Hollow.
I used to think Pritchett was a big deal. Now I get it. I get it. We kind of like reset the bar.
Yes.
It's like, everything, the world has changed.
Yeah.
Let's just put it like that. The world has changed. My view of the world. But it was an amazing experience. I flew in from Dulles Airport in Virginia on, Thursday. Picked up the Jeep, picked up the trailer, and then we all met up here and drove out to Johnson Valley, and it took about, 4 hours to get out there?
We made a couple stops, got some food. And
gas. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The first thing is, within a half day's drive, not even that, Johnson Valley is on the doorstep here of everyone in Los Angeles, which is, I'm sorry, but you guys you kept that a secret. I thought it was far away. It's not far away. It's right down the street, literally speaking. Which means that these guys are out there all the time, and they're learning from that environment and putting it into the product, and I had no idea. Do we want to spoiler alert?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think the statement you made about being worried about breaking the Jeep, I think I'd like you to repeat that.
Yeah, so look, we put a lot of time and effort into this Jeep. This is, by the way, where
it's your baby.
It's my baby.
Yeah,
as my wife
precious.
would say, it's like it's the other, it's a mortgage payment. But this has been since 2016. We've been on the trail to get to here.
And this is not your first Jeep.
No, this is number 3. So number 1 was a TJ, and I went to the usual East Coast, sort of big box store, off-road shops and stores, and you bolt stuff on. You do the upgrades on the axle.
Yeah.
You put everything inside. You overload the battery. You overload all the electrics, and you plug everything into the dashboard. Put a little lift in, that kind of thing. Sort of driveway, jack stands type of work.
Yep.
Then got a 2007 JK, which is identical to the one that's right here. Same color, everything. Exactly the same as this. And this is when I went from bolting to cutting welding, kind of very
in the process of being a Jeep guy.
And sort of, I buttressed up and put all sorts of stuff on the axles. I welded all of that, put a supercharger in, all that stuff that we do as we learn. And then I was just having a horrible time on the trails. After all that work, I would get to some obstacle. I did the Moab thing, in it, and I just wasn't really enjoying it. Why? I was breaking stuff. I'd pop an axle. So in the back of my old JK, I'd have 2 axles. I'd have all sorts of extra spares. Stuff, about 200 pounds, 300 pounds of spares in the back.
Yep. Which wasn't helping the cause.
It wasn't helping the cause, but more importantly, Tony, I wasn't having fun. And I kind of said to myself, how do we get to a point where you have enough geometry and strength where you can actually start to really have fun and not fill up the Jeep full of spares before you go on the trail?
Okay.
That was my logic at the time. That's what I was thinking, right?
So which is great logic, by the way.
I go on YouTube and start looking around, and all the East Coast guys and gals, they're taking these junkyard 60s and 1-tons and sticking them underneath their Jeeps, and it was all like, you watch the TV show on a Sunday morning, and in 15 minutes they say, easy to do, and then you try and do it, and it's like, forget it, this is not working. And that's when I found what you guys were up to back then with the Elite suspension and et cetera, and I came in and I said, I want to do that. So this is sort of phase 3 of my journey.
Yep.
2016, dropped it off with you guys. We've done what? We've done Easter Jeep Safari. We've done the Rubicon with Jeepers. We've done twice Trail Hero at Sand Hollow.
Yep.
First time was an experience. Second time, really started to enjoy it. And then, all the usual crawling things, which, and you've guided me throughout the whole journey.
Which it does a great job at, right?
It's just a lot of fun. You feel good on those off-camber kind of moments. You feel good kind of going up those big shelves, etc. But there was this monster hidden under the hood. There's an LS3 under here with all the goodies.
That's built.
All the goodies.
Not just an LS3.
No. It's not one. It's not a Walmart LS3. And I was always wondering why this big platform. We get out onto the valley floor on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
About noon, 1 o'clock, and I'm following Teramoto, and Tony just drops it and it's gone. And I'm like, this is some kind of test, right? So anyway, I just dropped it a gear, hit the skinny pedal, and this thing just
came to life. Yes.
I realized finally the penny dropped
Yeah.
on why the geometry of this here on the axles, why the springs are way out here on the edge, why we've got the double shear on the front. Because as you're turning into these corners and you're coming in at 60, 70 miles an hour into a corner and you're loading up all of this front end, and then you try and hit the gas and you're loading up the rear end and it just takes out of the corner. And I was like, this is not a Jeep. This is a race car masquerading as a Jeep. It says Jeep somewhere on it.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, for anyone who's watching who wants to go on that journey, you can set yourself a destination. You can set yourself a destination. I want to be comfortable going on Red Rock in the West Coast, or comfortable going into an East Coast, park, going into any of the parks in West Virginia or Pennsylvania, like Roush Creek, etc.
Right.
These are great parks, great places to learn. But there's something about the experience of going at 70, 80 miles an hour in something like this, and then taking a hard left or right turn, following you, and we go up a trail.
Up a rock trail.
And the word trail is the wrong word. Going up an set of obstacles that are just, YouTube does no
justice.
justice.
To it. Yeah.
And it was great. So I'm excited. I think it's a new addiction that we've fueled. This vehicle is just.
We could see the
brilliant.
ear-to-ear grin under your helmet.
I had a helmet on, but you could tell, couldn't
Yeah.
you? And you could hear on the radio. I was like, it was just amazing, and it can feel a little bit intimidating. I mean, it is it's a big leap to get up into this kind of vehicle, but I'll tell you that it's just a unique experience. It's just different, and you can roll on a rock, or you can roll, like a rocket down the desert.
Yeah, and it can do both. To me, and go on the street. I mean, that's what we do behind building one of these vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, I've driven this thing down to literally down to the shopping mall in Virginia where I live, and picked up a six-pack, so to speak. Granted, I got a lot of weird looks because it does make quite an interesting sound.
I just drove mine to the car wash.
And then we strap on these beadlocks, tires and wheels, and we just did the most incredible trail. So, yeah, driver training, 2 days, Hammertown, an amazing experience. Also, by the way, there were all sorts of Ultra 4 teams out there doing their testing, getting pre-running for the
big race.
For the big race in
Yeah.
January.
Yeah.
For the Ultra 4 race, and it was interesting watching them as their vehicles, went past us or going in different directions and getting a feel for it. We're right up there. We're not hanging around. I mean, they were like taking a good hard look at us as we were going by. So very, very, very fun.
Yeah. So we don't have the ability to read questions, do we? Or we don't have anybody reading questions. Oh, Alex is going to back up and see.
If there are any.
I know Val's probably online, like checking questions, but since we're on limited staff, we don't have extra people. But there was another point that I wanted to talk about with regard to the vehicle and the handling, the hitting obstacles, going fast.
Yeah, I think you know what. I think when you.
You mentioned you were worried about if we were going to break it.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I mean, look, you put, we all work hard. This costs money, right? We put the money into it. And I think it was in the first 25 minutes, we came around a corner, and all I saw, as far as I could see, were these road
Whoop-de-doos.
Yeah. What do you call them?
Whoop-de-doos.
Whoop-de-doos. They're about, some of them are 3 feet or so more, some of them, actually, because I think we we went over them like 60 miles an hour or more, right?
Yeah.
And the faster you went, the smoother it got, which my brain was having a hard time processing. But I could see you right in front of me, so I knew that if I kind of at least keep at the same pace. But I thought I was going to break it. I thought I would come back to the campsite. We'd open it up and we'd see fluid coming out of here. I was wondering if we were going to see, the tie rods are bent or something, and I was wondering, with the steering, the steering, hydros, are they going to be okay? Because you're constantly putting in steering input. You're not sitting there. It's this much input the whole time. You're strapped in, helmet, hands device. Your straps are fully tightened down. You're not moving an inch inside this thing.
Yep.
Your field of view comes right in because of the helmet. You got the straps, the nets on the side of the door where normally you'd be sticking your head out to look at where you're going. There's none of that. You're sitting there, you got your co-pilot next to you, and the co-pilot's on the radio saying, rock left, rock right, calling out gears, calling out revs, calling out obstacles. And that's coming at you at a very, very, very fast rate of knots. And you just found yourself sort of easing into it and letting your body relax.
Yep.
And starting to think about, the position. And the incredible thing, at 70, whatever miles an hour, whatever we're doing, going over these big, huge bumps, you've got control. You can feel it dipping in, coming back. You can feel everything moving at the speed it's moving at.
Yep.
And there was a flip in my head when I realized, this is amazing. You can't get a sense of this on YouTube.
No.
Go out, do a driver weekend with Tony. I think is the best money you can buy. Get in Terremoto, because you brought me on a ride in Terremoto before, so I could see what it felt like.
Yeah.
So I knew how to calibrate. And then once we got it going, this was a great experience.
Yeah, I think I remember you commenting at one point about watching my tech talks and how a lot more of what I said made sense.
Okay, I'll even go further. I'll go further. I'll match you. You sometimes seem to be frustrated that people aren't getting it. I get it. I now.
But it took this to do that, right?
It actually took the real thing. It did. Because, look, and I went at Sand Hollow, I went looking at everyone's front end that were all parked up there. And this is special. The way this
is all done.
The way this is done, where it sits, how far out it sits, this bracketry right here, the angle is forward and out. So why is that important? It means that when I hit this, I hit a bump at 60, 70 miles an hour, and that bump is 3 feet tall, meaning here. This will now rotate up into this position and back down in about, half a second?
Yeah.
And I hit the next one 2 or 3 seconds later?
Yeah. Alex actually has a ton of GoPro footage that he's going to be putting together to show people how fast it's moving.
Cycling every second and a half or so, or more probably. And that's doing that, by the way, hour after hour after hour.
Yep.
We didn't just do 20 seconds on it. We did hours on it.
Hours.
And everything gets heat soaked. Everything gets hot.
Yep.
All the fluids get super hot. Everything gets moved around.
Yeah.
And look at it. This is the day
fine.
after.
Yeah.
We just washed it off.
I know the people riding with me use the word intense. When we drove on previous year's race courses at race pace, they couldn't believe how intense it was. And they weren't even driving, right? They're just sitting there.
So here's something interesting. The first fast run we did, Alex was sitting next to me, and he was calling out all the obstacles, rock, etc. I felt after 5 minutes I was going to pass out. I was so tired. I was stiffing on my body. Every core of my body was going into trying to keep it. And then I think it was Alex actually said something to me like, "You're gonna have to do this for 8 hours."
So you got to figure it out.
I just backed it off maybe 5 miles an hour, which made a lot of difference for me, and I relaxed. And then all of a sudden I realized that the car was doing the work. I use the word car. The vehicle was doing the work. What are we calling this thing? Maximus was doing the work. And I just had to sort of relax into it. And as soon as I did that, I could mentally now see myself doing 8 hours. Prior to that, I was like, this is crazy. I'll never do 8 hours. So it was good.
So I got one more question to ask you that I've talked about on Tech Talk, and I want the viewers to see your answer. Can you imagine having a regular automatic that's doing all this shifting?
No. Tony is 1 gear lower than anyone I would have thought. Everything is 1 gear lower. These engines are running at about 4,500 RPM, just cruising.
Yeah.
Just cruising.
Yeah.
They'll spike up to 550.
I remember you commented on that. You're like, whoa,
Why
man.
are we in second gear?
Second gear still, yeah.
You're in second gear, the thing is screaming. And the reason was that as soon as he puts a bit of pressure on that pedal, he has complete control. He can back it off into a corner, dive into the corner, go deeper. You've got that control. There's that immediacy of gas.
Yes, instant.
Instantaneous. Yeah. You can't do that. So there's a reverse valve body in here, made it to a 4L80.
And you shift when you want.
You shift when you want,
Yeah.
and it's we've got like a 3,500 stall rate on the actual on the transmission, which means that we are on it all the time.
Yes.
So imagine having your own car, your own Jeep at home, and you're at 4,500 revs for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Just let that sink in just for a second. Your radiator would explode about 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
Followed by all the fluids that are feeding into.
Fried and burnt.
And the hood will just come up. I'm looking at the temp gauges. So this goes to the engineering of what went into this. I'm looking at the temp gauges. I'm looking at transmission temperature, engine coolant, oil temperatures. And we're beating the crap out of the world. And it's just sitting at 198 degrees.
Yep.
It's just like, it doesn't budge. It doesn't budge. What does that tell you about how this was put together?
Pretty cool.
Do you see any leaks?
Nope. Not one.
So every pipe, every clamp worked. All the volumes are done properly.
Yep.
And that's what the point I'm trying to get at is this. I'm not a mechanic. I can't come back from every weekend and spend 2 days fixing it before the next trip.
Right.
I want to be able to take it home, spray it off like we did this morning,
Yep.
put it in the garage, and take it out for the next trip.
Yep.
That's what I want to do.
I mean, that was, I was telling you I had just been out at the Hammers for Thanksgiving with the Terremoto for 7 days.
Yeah.
All I did was fill it with gas and put it on the trailer, and we just went out and ran more days at full tilt.
Yeah. I filled this up on Friday, and that was it.
That's it.
And I have no idea what's left in it. But it was a lot of fun. So for me, this has been like a 2-decade journey of jeeping, you're going to call it that?
To get to here.
To get to here, and couldn't be happier.
It's like a whole nother world.
It's a door is opened into an alternate universe.
Yeah.
And it is amazing when you stand here in the performance shop here at GenRight, and you can look around and see out of camera, there's the race car over here. And I'm looking at the race car and I'm looking at this. These are parts that sit in a warehouse across the street that anyone can buy and get shipped out overnight into your driveway to put onto your Jeep. And I can see how the generations of technology are flowing down to this technology right here. And that's pretty darn cool.
It's really cool. It's really cool. I see Jordan has joined us here in the shop. Hey, buddy. Are you reading questions over there?
I saw two.
Can you list them off to us?
What color is your Jeep?
Oh, great question. The color is a Ford color. It is the Shelby, the Mustang Shelby comes in like 4 or 5 colors. There's a white, there's a black, there's a blue, and then this is the red. Apple Candy Crush red Ford.
And this light does it no justice. It's absolutely beautiful in the sun.
When it's sprayed on, the first layer is orange, and then they put a red over the top of it. That's why you see this kind of sheen.
Yeah, it's
to
a
it.
3-layer, right? And
It's
then
a 3-layer, and then we actually wrapped it with a clear wrap so that
clear
we can
bra
clean
stuff,
it, and if the stones and stuff, hit it. I'm able to clean it off without having to worry about, dust and dirt, sort of scratch it up.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you could say that was a bit of an indulgence putting a paint job like this on something that we brought out to the Hammers and just thrashed around at high
But it
speed.
still looks great.
It's perfect.
I mean, look at the side.
It looks. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
step
Which
down the
you going?
side.
So we took the door. Just took the doors off because we're putting on more pieces. But you can see, even the armor. This is the aluminum armor right here. You see, it's bolted in here. We have it all with that same color, and you can see as I'm rubbing my hand off it here, you can see I'm just taking the dust off. But it's absolutely spotless.
I mean, the whole side of this thing's still perfect.
And this has been up and down every trail in Moab, every trail pretty much at Sand Hollow, and now at the Hammers as well. And as long as you're careful and you don't get too crazy on the skinny pedal, you can do it. Clearly, this is where the work goes. As you can tell, we slid along a few rocks, but again, we've had this now for what, 2 years in this configuration, hitting lots of trails, and it's done really well. We kind of matched, if you look at Ford's website for the Mustang, you'll see this color combination of this sort of gunmetal gray mated to the Apple Candy Crush. And then the coup de grace was gold colored rims, which are over there.
Over there, yeah.
So if you can see right over here, how's that cable
there you
going?
go. Alex is zoomed in. What are the questions we got?
We went with sort of a gold color, so it's got.
How many miles a gallon?
Not very many.
So there's a door.
Like maybe 6.
Against that, so you can see the 3 colors: the gold, the gunmetal, gold, and the red. So that was the combination we went with, and I hope you like it. I like it. The plan is not to scrape it too much over the next couple of years. So,
Okay, well,
great
if
question.
now that we have Jordan here
Thanks for
reading
the question.
questions, if you guys have questions, fire
I
them
only
in.
wanted to know if you'd figured out your miles per gallon and what you'd use this weekend, but it doesn't sound like
Okay, Kelly.
It's got to be like 6.
There's no fuel gauge in this, just for the record.
It's miles per gallon.
He beat me to it. It's smiles per gallon. You read my mind. So forget about it. Just make sure you have the right radio channel with someone who actually has some gas in their tank. And I've got a pump in the back of it. I've got a hand pump. That's all you need.
Well, we should talk about the radio. That is an important part of being out there.
And by the way, we just dropped in the new large capacity tank into this.
We did.
On
yeah.
Friday.
So you got the 26 gallon now.
26
Actually,
gallon.
come back here, Alex. This is an important. I think you can get here. Maybe you can come like somewhere. But I wanted to show them. We did the plumbing. This is all Aeromotive. Is there not? Oh man, maybe we can get an augmented light here. Peter's working on it. There we go.
making my ISO all the way up.
So that's Peter, when we put this tank in, we did the dual Aeromotive in tank. So it's dual Phantom fuel pumps inside, which has its own built-in sump and baffle. And that feeds into 2 filters so that on the fly, if he loses fuel pressure because a pump gave out or maybe the filter got clogged, you can switch over to the other one and keep running. So it's the same setup I have in the Terremoto, very, very advanced. And it's really, when you've got a performance vehicle like this, you want that kind of a setup.
And we have what the GenRight team did here is they put it behind where my hand is. There's a little switch that allows me to alternate between pumps. So it's, if we have a problem, we'll lose a pump and we diagnose it on the trail.
And there's a gauge. Yeah, there's a gauge up on the manifold.
And I can just flip a switch and then we're over on the new pump.
And we added that Lowrance that you see there in the picture. So he's got a brand new GPS. All his race radio stuff's in there.
So you can see here, we got the new, if I can get this slide off. We got the new color system up here. We've got the radio down in the middle.
That's a custom mount we made.
So it is a comfortable ride. We're installed. You can see here we got the fire extinguishers in the front.
I should also mention this has a full fire system in it as well, automatic and manual both. In the Speedcraft fire system.
Hidden right behind the driver and the passenger seat are fire extinguishers that are hooked up into a system of sensors. So there's an automatic system. So if we are incapacitated for some reason, that will trigger based upon temperature for both the driver, the passenger, and also under the engine compartment and in the transmission. And there's a manual system that the driver or the passenger can trigger likewise should we have any issues. So I know that we're wearing fire suppressant suits, etc., but there's nothing worse than a fire to...
you want the maximum amount of protection.
And we got handheld passenger and driver fire extinguishers right underneath us as we're driving along.
Did we make any adjustments to the suspension while we were out there? We did. We rolled down.
We did.
We rolled down some preload and moved the secondary nuts a little bit.
Yeah. So you can see right here, we're running 150 over 200.
On a 14-inch 2.5-inch King IBP. Yeah, so that's the top of the line.
So when we ran in the morning, we found that over some of the bigger bumps, we were sort of bucking. The back of the vehicle was jumping up as sort of, and I was sort of looking at the sand at the wrong angle at speed. It's not a lot of fun when you're doing 70 miles an hour and you're kind of like only 2 wheels are on the ground. So we came into the pits, Alex did a great job, thank you, of making the changes here to the suspension and to the spring rates.
Yeah, while you and I went out in the Terremoto.
We went out in the Terremoto, came back 20 minutes later, changes were made. We just did a hot lap again, and guess what? We did exactly the same section of sand at the same speed, and it just sat down straight. It was fantastic.
So a lot of you have heard me talk about there's a fine line between letting the suspension work and keep the tire on the ground and bucking. So you've got to find that combination because you need the axle to fall out quick and return to the ground. But one click away from that is getting the thing to buck. So that's what we were chasing, trying to increase the progression to slow the energy down so we didn't get that action.
You know, once that was done, Tony, the confidence level just shot up.
Sure.
I mean,
but you know, you go out there by yourself or, you know, with a bunch of buddies, nobody knows any of this stuff. You're going to fight that for years.
This is race car level technology, race car level tuning. I'm never going to have that. I can watch a lot of YouTube videos all I want, but if I don't have the experience, you're never going to understand exactly how to do it. So this is why the weekend, working with Tony and the team here at GenRight for race car training, they had an entire agenda for the 2 days, of which one of them was how to make sure this is set up properly so that we
Which
understand.
included me riding in the vehicle, driving the vehicle, right?
We even put a GoPro, Jamie on his vehicle put a GoPro right here pointed backwards, or was it, I can't remember, backwards or
To
forwards?
watch it.
Backwards and forwards, and then ran the exact same section so we could compare both vehicles so we could see exactly how we were doing. So we'll dial that in for the race. Oh, I just said the race word. We're doing this for a reason.
We are doing this.
We're doing this for a reason. Is that enough said?
Jordan, are we getting any questions over there? Jordan? Oh, you mentioned it.
Yeah, 150 over 200.
Yep.
3 point.
Yeah, and these are 14-inch travel. Yep. And the bump is an important part of that.
Yeah, I hit the bump. You can see here, the paint's gone. We hit the bump pretty hard a few
That
times.
means you're using it. Right?
Yeah.
You paid for it, you might as well use it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's the bump. Alex was sitting next to me. He goes, yep, that's the bump. We better go change those spring rates. I said, yeah, let's do that. That hurt.
And a reminder to everybody who's watching, you know, this entire tracer suspension was derived from Jordan's 4500 car, his modified class car. So
yeah, this is car number 1.
Right here.
And it was part of the whole experience for me was watching you guys go back and forth. Tony would email me on a Friday night, email me all these CAD diagrams, and I'm looking at them going, what am I looking at? What is this? Why is this important?
It's got to be cool or I wouldn't have sent it.
I was like, and he'd be like, hey, look at this. Like we've got, and now when you look, and you look underneath here, and you look at, there's a 4-link suspension here on the back. Look at where the gas tank is. Look at how much space is in here for the travel going up and down. Look at how all the lines, the brake lines, the air lines for the rear differential for the lockers. This is a RockJock 70 here on the rear, a Curry. Look at the pinion angle. Look how straight it is. Look, perfectly straight. This is at full droop. See how well this geometry is. Here's my rear stable. You know,
Sway bar, yeah.
The sway. Everything is in perfect place. You know, the links are exactly vertical. It is, it's just amazing.
Yeah, we use all that space when that's going up and down, that's for sure.
So that you just can't get. Look at the mount over the top of the actual differential there. It's just, you know, outstanding. And you can see here the witness marks are on all the bolts. Those witness marks were put on the bolts 2 years ago, and nothing's backed out.
Not when you use the right hardware.
Exactly.
That's for sure. And you put it through the paces this weekend. That's,
We did.
you know, if anything was going to come loose, or it would have reared its ugly head right then.
So it's going to be here for the next few months. We've got a storage facility that I'm putting it into for the next couple of months, and I'll be flying back and forth. And January is going to be a busy month here with Maximus.
Yep.
So thanks for all who watched today, and
Yeah.
huge thanks to Tony and the team. By the way, this is I think one of the team members here at GenRight said this earlier today, that everyone at GenRight has touched this over the last 4 or 5 years in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because it was the original, right? This one went through the entire development cycle. Yeah.
Everyone.
Thanks to you. I mean, you made it happen, right? If you hadn't come here and said, Tony, make it happen, you know.
I have a very patient wife, a wonderful wife who will always let me do my own thing.
Which is awesome.
So, for everyone out there,
Yeah.
really important. Look, this has been a great journey.
Yeah.
And we're just getting started.
And we're just getting started.
Right. And anyone who's thinking about, doing this half-assed way of doing it, don't. Because you're just going to break it, bend it, and you'll be unhappy. It's time to go all in with your passion, and this is a very, very, very strong passion for me.
And when you start hauling like we were, if it's not all right, it's not going to handle. It's going to be a total pile.
By the way, I take my hands at 70 miles an hour off the steering wheel. This thing drives straight in the middle of all the craziness.
Yeah.
And I did it just for fun, just to see what happened. Sorry, Alex, for that moment.
We did have a question on the shocks. So these are 2.5 King IBPs. So the 2.5 inch. The IBPs always come with the clicker adjuster, and then that's complemented with a 2.0 hydraulic air bump, or what a lot of people just call bump stops.
And it still has the original dashboard and knobs
Yeah.
for the heating.
And we're going to change some of that. He's starting to realize that stuff's not really important anymore. So
It's a journey.
it's a journey. Yeah. So I don't. Did you just figure you wouldn't get this into it, or?
No, at the beginning,
Hard to know, right?
Tony, like everything in life, like in the beginning, all I wanted was a cool suspension I could take to Irish Creek. Seriously, that was it. I wanted the factory motor, factory everything, air conditioned, because it's the East Coast, right?
Right.
Bugs are the size of birds. And I wanted it to be able to, just sort of get me to a weekend rock crawling and then come home. But then really quickly, when you're out here, you kind of realize that if you don't sort of experience what the West and not just the West Coast, but Colorado, etc., anything west of the Mississippi, it's just amazing. Yeah. So why not? You've got it on your doorstep.
Yeah.
Take advantage
Go check
of
it out. Yeah.
Totally.
Especially if you're in a personal position to,
Yeah.
be able to do that.
And it's a lifestyle, by the way. You're going to meet a lot of, that's the other thing we haven't talked about. You're going to meet a lot of great people. You're going to meet a lot of people with a shared passion, shared insights, and no matter who they are and what they're doing, it's all fun.
Just give me 1 second.
That's Debbie. She's calling.
Probably. Jordan, what other questions you got?
What size time joints? Looks like Johnny joints.
Oh yeah, we always run Johnny joints. Jordan even ran these on his 4500 car. This is exactly what I have on the Terremoto. So these are 1.25" shank. That's very important. Curry, or now Rock Jock Johnny joints. And the reason I like these is they've got the right durometer to soak up the shock load. And what that does is it saves all the welds. So whether it's on the axle side or the chassis side, as you're, which you now know, hammering through this stuff, whether it's rocks or just the bumps of the desert, those Johnny joints are doing all the work, and they're lubable, rebuildable.
Exactly, I was going to say just that. Look at
yeah,
where the
right
Zerk
there.
is. It's in a nice area. It's not pointing forward or in the wrong place. It's in exactly the right place, easy to get at.
And we've, not that anybody asked the question, but we've revamped this steering system a couple of times.
This is the third steering we've had in
Yeah,
here.
and
that's a good point.
this one is made by Howe, Howe, and they're a race steering company out of Southern California. And
This was a big
you were
deal.
saying like
This is a big deal.
It's
actually.
way
Thank
better.
you for raising
Yeah.
this. I think I blew up the previous two. I now know the innards of the pump system in these really well.
And the fluid.
Yeah, because the fluid, when it does blow, and when you blow an O-ring in one of these steering boxes, the fluid sprays all over here, which cleans all the bolts for you. You don't want to do that. So we went through various different products, because remember, this is a TJ/LJ right now. So the geometry there's not a lot of space up here. There's a lot of forces are going on in this steering box as it's JK, it's very different. So I think we're hitting like just physics, just basic physics. We were hitting like flow rates, etc. The pumps. So this here is like literally a Cadillac. Put your finger on the steering wheel and turn it. And I can put it up against the wall, like we have to at one of the upskills at Trail Hero.
Yeah.
At the Fallen, I think it is.
Fallen, yeah.
You literally have to like use the front suspension to move the vehicle over to get the right line. You can do it without that, but it's not fun if you get it wrong. But to get it safe, I knew as soon as I was up against the wall and I made that steering move, this thing would take all the pressure. And by the way, it also means that there's a lot of forces going down here to the actual rods that hold everything together.
Yeah. There's a lot of things about what you guys are looking at right now that are not super obvious. It looks real simple, but a lot of work has been put in to maximize every little degree and how the energy is transferred. So
look, I got a PhD in death wobble in my previous Jeep, right? I literally did. I didn't have to watch his tech talks on death wobble. Example, parallel. Right? Everything has to be parallel up here on the track line, or else you're going to get all sorts of problems. So look at the geometry of this. Look at how everything connects together. This is perfect. So I wasn't joking. I took my hands off the steering wheel. I wanted to feel what it was like going fast. Thing was perfect.
yeah.
So show me a Jeep with 60s on it with this much gear that centers on the highway all by itself. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
You know.
More questions, Doherty?
Yeah, 2. Were you able to get it over 100 miles an hour?
Question was Peter able to get it over 100 miles an hour?
I don't think I hit over 100.
I might have.
I don't know. I have to check the GPS track. But
I know you came back and you said, had I just been willing to hold my foot down, the Jeep would have kept going faster and
there's
faster.
no question. It's no question it'll do 100. That's not an issue.
Well over that.
I'm thinking about 140 is where I'd be comfortable. So remember, this is my first time, everybody, first time. But I did track you on the desert floor. So whatever.
Yeah, when we went across Melville, a couple of things. If you guys have never been out there and gone fast in something like this, you are barely on the ground. If there's a side wind, it'll blow the vehicle like 5-6 feet over, and you're still going straight, but the vehicle is just moved on the dry lake. So when you start getting over about 70 miles an hour, man, it is a completely different deal.
And we were over 70. We were cruising.
Yeah.
We were cruising.
Yeah. I know when you and I were ripping together and you were talking about the RPM and I dropped a gear and we laid into it. Yeah, we were well over 100.
There is nothing that describes the level of violence that is going on in the drivetrain on this thing. It's a race car.
Yeah.
You don't realize that until you get it out there.
And by the way, we are in 4-wheel drive all the time. Not lockers on, but front and rear 4-wheel drive. Because it's a big part of how you're getting through the corners, and if you hit something, you just lay on the throttle and get that front end to pull out.
Yeah, I did lay it out a few. We did drift. We could drift this as well.
Really nice. It drifts really nice. So, more questions, Jordy?
That was fun.
Would you say the LJ is still the best platform for extreme off-road build? I know you have done a lot with the EXS, but would you recommend the LJ Tracer as your top build platform?
I would still recommend this platform strictly from a non-computerized vehicle, right? The newer the vehicle, the more computer crap is on there. So unless you're willing to gut it, which by the way, the moment you say, I'm willing to gut this thing and start over, you've just added $30,000 to the price.
And I'll tell you that
because you want to do the dash,
Actually,
but that's like a $20,000 thing.
this question is a great question. It's actually why I initially picked the LJ, because I had the JK,
Right.
And every time I got mud into that little
Stupid wheel sensor, yeah.
the little I had because I had supercharged. I'd done everything to it. I had nothing but computer problems, problems, and I didn't want to have to deal with all that hassle. So,
Right.
this
And when
for
you
me
came to
was-
me and I'm like, yeah, we ditch all that stuff.
that was our first meeting. I was like, just so you know, I want the simplest computer possible.
And the full manual transmission, full manual automatic, for those of you that don't know what that is, it's still an automatic, there's still a torque converter, but you have to shift it for every gear, takes half of the computer away, right? Because now there's no wheel sensors, there's nothing looking at anything.
I'm driving on the way over here in the rental car I have from Enterprise. I was left foot braking coming into the corners, so probably not the smartest thing to do.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. This morning on the way here, everybody that got in front of me, I was like pissed. They're going slow. Get out of my way, man. I'm ready to overtake them and rip around, you know? I just want to drive at the speed I want to drive.
I think it should be like a day after driver training where you're not allowed to get into a vehicle because everything just feels
Because we were out there hauling, right? It opens up, we go.
I mean, think of it. You just point the car in any direction and go at whatever speed you want.
It's just awesome. What other questions we got, Jordy?
Casey Gilbert asked if you like walking tacos.
Oh, yes, I do. And I introduced some of my Harley riding friends to the walking tacos when we were in Sturgis this last time. We went to one of those little outdoor barbecue places and walking taco was on the menu and I'm like, oh, we're ordering these big time. So thanks again for that. That was awesome.
I'm learning a lot.
We should have cooked those this weekend when we were at the Hammers.
Yeah, it was fun.
Totally. Next time, we're adding that to the menu. We got to get Fritos.
I'll hold it to you.
Yeah. Alex was our cook out there this weekend. So.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
We ate well. In case Angela's watching this, we had a very nice kale salad.
We did have a salad.
We did.
Yeah. Debbie checked the drawer. She's like, did you eat that salad? Yeah, honey, it's gone.
Well, look, I know we're going to finish up here. Before we finish up, I want to say thanks. This has been quite a journey. And, I'm just...
You've been awesome to do it with. Awesome.
Come on, buddy.
Yeah. So we'll give you guys a second for any last minute questions, but other than that, we're going to wrap it up. We just wanted to give you a sneak peek at, especially when it's fresh.
I got to get on an airplane.
Oh, and your light's still on. So anything else, Jordy? No, we're doing good. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We will still be back on Wednesday with our regular Tech Talk Live on both Facebook and YouTube. So thanks for checking it out, and hopefully this will inspire some of you to get that Jeep built up.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, cool. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.